honest mwingine, then ule atakuja after huyo honest ni leader ambaye ni fake, ambaye ni cheat. So let's be very careful. Tukikuwa tunataka just kuswitch leaders, we must switch the leaders in the meantime. But ule leader anakuja, kitu ya open governance, radical transparency on the blockchain must be right front and center. Tuna hold each and every decision, the law courts, the cops, the government, the police, you know, the military also has to be held accountable. Nani ali approve, general mgani alikuwa na agree na hizi decisions ati wakuja wa deploywe? Our MPs, our senators, such that hata tukawai pata mtu ambaye anataka kudestroy Kenya kama vile Ruto wako saizi na vile Uhuru wamekuwa wote, they cannot take us to mess the way they have done. They can't even do 0.1% of the problem ilo wameleta. So that's basically my thoughts. I'll give space to other people, but remember, accountability must be forced on the leaders. Honesty must be forced on the leaders. We need a government where we force everyone to be honest. Na going forward, tuweke hiyo moto juu, tuendelee kuwekea pressure na tuendelee kuensure kuwa watasikiza kile tunasema, na tu spread hii message na tuelimishe watu wengine pia. Juu hii ni kitu imekuwa na sisi for generation. We are the generation to end this and innovate on our own, on how we are going to be governed, such that mtu yote anakuja after sisi atakuwa anasema wasi waliunda system kwa kweli, mtu mmoja hawezi mess up, watu 10 hawezi mess up, hata watu 1000 hawezi mess up, because the system can morph and take care of those who are dishonest and those who are corrupt, those who are pillaging. And with that, I'll let you guys take over, but we gotta diagnose the problem correctly so that we have the right solution.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
Dr. Mbati, umesikia sasa?
Kimuzi, you know, countries like America, you keep wondering, how comes things remain the same? Things are not changing. It's because of the system. There is a lot of course, we don't say that countries like those don't have dishonest men. They are there. But because of the system that was set, you will struggle to live within that, to live in that society. You go to the banking system, everything is sorted. You go to the road system, askari utampata amesimama vile Kenya askari wanasimama kuinua mikono. Ukienda in the whichever system you want to get into, you will get things running because a system was set years ago by well-minded people who had the country at heart. Thank you so much, Web3. Engineer Nancy Kera, please don't drop the mic, Web3. I know people might want to ask you questions.
Okay.
Engineer, please come on board. Ongeza kile
unaweza questions are really important right now because we can utilize them.
Yes. Engineer? Then questions, please come on board with questions. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Very loud and clear.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Let me just close. I don't want to take a lot of time. The previous speaker, Web3, has spoken a lot of things that I relate with, and I totally agree with him. I really hope we such a technological revolution, and we don't want to have piecemeal adoption of technology. When you have an ICT CS whose primary role is launching Wi-Fi is very, very basic. If you are talking about Web3 and blockchain, you can realize the kind of gap that we have to cover to get to where Web3 wants us to be. When you have a whole government focusing on laying fiber and setting up Wi-Fi, that's a very small milestone. You set the bar so low, then when you achieve it, you go celebrating like you've done so much for the Kenyans. I call that bullshit. We need to do much more than that. PS Ndemo was one of the reasons Kenya is way ahead in ICT, and some subsequent CSS should have built on that progress. Going back to just launching Wi-Fi is a step backwards. Now, you've noted that only 21 CSS was sent home. Those ministries they were heading are currently being manned by accounting officers who number 51. Now, as the previous speaker just said, this government can run without CSS. It can, because you have technocrats who are responsible for running those organizations on a daily basis. The chief chemist, chief economist, all directors of treasury and all those people exist, and that they are responsible for generating reports, planning, forecasting, and all that. Now the PSS are the real accounting officers, and that's where the focus should be. 51 of them, are they competent? Are they capable? Are they loyal to the constitution, or are they loyal to their own interest or those of the president? The president may be well intending, but are those people responding to what Kenyans want, or they are basically responding to what the president instructs them to? Remember, Alice Wahome was the CS for water, and they differed with the PS Coril, Julius Coril, and she was ministries. Number two, yesterday or day
Your
before
voice is
yesterday,
breaking.
she made us. How about
You're
now?
breaking up.
Right now, you had Ebu endelea.
Yeah. Now you need to you take note of the matter that the CS lands said that all foreign owners of land leases need to bring back the land title deeds. Now, what is going to happen to those title deeds? That's something that we need to really take into account, because most foreign multinationals in Bomet, Kericho, Nandi own those lands. When they return these leases, those titles to the Ministry of Lands, who is going to be the custodian of those lands? That's food for thought for everybody in this space. Now, the president wants Kenya to be like Singapore. I think as we try to recall all MPs, we need to benchmark with how much MPs in Singapore or representatives of the people or congressmen in Singapore are paid. I don't think they're paid more than 200,000 shillings equivalent. So if the president wants Kenya to be like Singapore, the first start is to cap MP salaries to not more than 200,000. And that is very, very doable. I hope most of you remember a gentleman called Joe Donde. Joe Donde introduced a banking bill called the Joe Donde Bill that forced that brought what we call the things like Pesalink, and capping the interest rates charged by banks. But systematically, once that law was adopted, systematically the banks and their cronies have worked to reverse the gains of that Joe Donde bill. What does that mean? It means this country has bright minds, has well-meaning individuals who, once they ascend to power, can be allowed to pass very friendly, citizen-friendly bills. But the majority of those MPs and state officers who are at the behest of these banking cartels will degrade the gains that you make every single day. Now, Web3 mentioned about building very solid systems, but as much as those systems are going to be manned and operated by human beings, the element of honesty and well-intended individuals comes into play. So you can build all those nice systems, but individuals will come and defeat the same systems. The first time we had the 2010 constitution, we had clashes in 2007. A very solid IEBC election system was put in place, but just before the election started, one of the ICT officers at IEBC, who was responsible for the security of the system, was abducted and killed. And the ICT system was compromised through his credentials. So I am a cybersecurity practitioner, and I can tell you can build very, very solid systems. And adding to that, you add blockchain into that. But as long as there's a human intervention at any part of that system, that is where we will fail. And the question of honesty, well-meaning individuals still comes back to play. The county started in, I think, 2013 with the enactment of the new constitution. And IFMIS was a system that was in place to manage public resources, manage the revenue and expenditure of public resources. The first 5 years of county government required that all county governments appropriate funds through IFMIS system. And since generally Kenyans and politicians are corrupt, they'll go and bribe IFMIS officials to insert budgets or expenditure that was not approved or that was not done properly. And the ministry lost, and the government lost a lot of money. The counties lost a lot of money. Those ones who know this, I know I'm saying this. I cannot verify this. So this, I'll say these are it allegedly happened. So that I protect myself. But systems are as good as the people who manage them. Even as I say that to protect myself, politicians who were arrested and charged in court.
You are
You can
breaking up,
check
huh?
the web and see. I think I really have bad internet. I hope it's changing. I just moved a bit. Any
That's
better?
right.
Yeah, you're good now. You're good.
Okay, sorry about that. Let me close very quickly. Dr. Mbati asked me now, as a professional, what steps can we take so that we curtail this kind of menace that we have? First of all, the president has to be very honest. He has to appoint competent individuals into relevant dockets. You don't need to have the likes of Kipchumba Murkomen heading a critical docket like infrastructure and roads. Have an engineer there who, if he performs well, reward him. If he doesn't perform, sack him, charge him in a court of law, and bring back another engineer. Remember, the last 20 years, we've had progress in good road construction because we had engineers in charge of those dockets. And even if they misbehaved and they were charged in a court of law, like Engineer Kamau and the rest, we still had good roads. Even if the likes of Itumbi call them biscuit roads, those roads were working. For the last 2 years, those biscuit roads have deteriorated. We have so many bad roads in this country. So the 1,000 kilometers that Murkomen said he constructed, I don't think he did anything. I think he constructed them in his head. The point being, let experts be in charge of those dockets. You cannot have a lawyer as an auditor. You cannot have an engineer as a judge or maybe the registrar of high court. So let relevant individuals run ministries or departments where they are qualified and competent. Let us have someone responsible for the health docket from the health, someone who has training in public health or the medical field. It makes perfect sense. If they fail, go get them out, get another one. Don't replace them with a farmer. That's the whole point. Now, once you appoint competent individuals in those dockets, allow them to work. Most of the parastatal heads, boards of these public agencies are appointed from State House. Names are forwarded for concurrence. If you see most of the directives, the communications from the head of public service, you see that appoint so and so and forward the names for concurrence. What is concurrence? Concurrence is a euphemism like nimekutumia mtu wangu mwekelee mahali fulani. Those are direct instructions. Let the president appoint people who are competent and allow them to work and hold them accountable. That's how we are going to have real progress in this country. Finally, in 2010, for those who were around when the constitution was being campaigned for by the yes and the no team, you know that every side of the campaign made a lot of effort to do civic education. They broke down the constitution into small relevant parts and then they circulated them to various places, churches, farmers, schools. In the same way, to have a competent and accountable government, building on this conversation, this space, and all the revolution that is happening across various platforms, let us have specific professionals in law, in medical, in engineering, in agriculture. Pick relevant items that need to be addressed by the government, and then we push that agenda very hard. If it is about the biodiversity or there's an act about these seeds, GMO seeds. Anybody who is an expert in that area, pick key bullet points and then educate the masses on a regular basis. If it's about the ICT bill, we'll have a committee of technical people who will study that bill, the merits and the demerits of that bill, and then we educate the masses so that when we push the MPs, then we have a solid point to put across. Going back home, my parents are not as exposed as I am, and most of your parents aren't either. So when they are told that the space or the Gen Z who are in the streets are gay activists, or they are criminals, or they are funded by foreign governments, or they are funded by Illuminati, those parents will believe. They are very religious. When the moment they hear it is gay or it is Illuminati, they will believe those politicians. I saw Nelson Koech in Belgut telling the parents that the protests were being funded by the opposition. Now the opposition has joined the government. I don't know what is going to tell those members of Belgut, but those fools were clapping. Unfortunately, those fools are our parents. So we have to take a step to go and educate them and win them over by educating them the benefits of pushing the government and imagining the government as not doing us a favor, but delivering services based on the taxes that we pay on a regular basis. So those are my submissions. Na nasema tuendelee. Let's push this government. Let them know that we are the employers. We are building a future for ourselves as a millennial and for our future, for our children who are Gen Zs and maybe Gen Zs. Thank you very much. I'll keep holding. You
Wow.
can drop me from the speakers panel.
Thank you so much. Engineer, Web and engineer, because it seems this is the direction we might be taking this morning. I will request that you remain. Others may be dropping because questions might come. I think, Kimuzi, that I feel that is what we can do so that whoever has questions can shoot the questions to them. Let's begin with Boniface. Boniface Gatua. Boniface,
Thank you. Thank you, Daktari. Can you all hear me?
loud and clear.
Thank you, and thank you, Kimuzi, and all the listeners. Perhaps before I pose my question to Webb, I'll have this to say. First of all, tuendelee ama tusiendelee? That is not even a question. Because it is either we go forward or we are doomed. Because as far as I know, and for what we've seen in the last, not just 2 years, since 1992 when Ruto came into politics, he will play into your tune, and we know he'll do that. For as long as we let him remain president, he'll apply all the diversionary tactics just to remain in power. And we need to be vigilant more than we've ever been. And secondly, I want to join engineer in saying this. So long as our political seats are loopholes for business and scot-free theft, and we let these guys go away with all manner of bad manners and corruption, we'll remain in the same hole. We'll continue saying all the good ideas we have here. We'll continue bringing all these solutions, but they will not go anywhere. And the way to make this progress, we need to make these political seats unattractive as possible. The political seats from MCA to president, they must be made unattractive. People must know that when they get to these offices, they're supposed to work for the people. And one way is reducing the salaries and benefits that these people have. There's no way that an MCA should be earning more than a teacher in public schools. So long as these guys go to sittings and they get sitting allowances for doing what we elected them to do, nothing is going to change. And we need to first of all effect that. And how do we effect this? We first of all need to get the right people in these offices. And one thing I even tell most people I talk to is when you give the devil a chance, you're just becoming the serpent. You're becoming the serpent and you're becoming his angel. These guys we are trying to negotiate and try to listen to, these are the same kleptocrats, thieves. The whole cabinet was made up of thieves. These are ICC inductees. The president himself was accused of murder and incitement. These are guys who are willing to kill just to remain in office. They are willing to kill all of us if they can. They are saying they will kill 5,000 people on the streets. These are the people we are saying we want to listen to. That's not possible. And eventually, the problem that we need to solve in this country is the problem of governance. Even in as much as we want to implement the solutions we were saying about blockchain, how sustainable are these solutions? If we don't have the right people in office, they are going to bring sabotage. For example, if you say we want to hold people accountable for the money they spend, how do we hold them accountable? How do we deal with corrupt people? We know China, for example, when you steal in China, you know you public enemy number one. You even face penalties such as death penalty, or you go to jail for the rest of your life. And the president needs to be clear. He has no capacity to tell us that he's a weak president. Why is it that when he wants to pass draconian taxes such as the housing bill, this affordable housing bill that he passed 2023, how is it that he can pass that, but he cannot pass a bill to fight corruption? He just does not have the goodwill to do what is right. And the drafters of the 2010 constitution, they recommended a parliamentary system where all power will rest in parliament. But now, since some people had individual and selfish interests, they sabotaged the whole process, and that's why we are in this hole. And I dare say this, Dr. Ombati, just
You have a
1
minute,
minute as
brother.
I finish.
You
All
have a
right.
minute, yes.
I dare say, even right now, as many people are suggesting, even if you put Omtatah there with such representatives in the office, in the parliament, we are not going anywhere. And again, the problem of neocolonialism started very early in the LegCo with such leaders such as Jomo Kenyatta, who went, we were fighting the same problems you were saying, the health, illiteracy, and poverty. And the president right now is telling us about the AI revolution and digital revolution. We've not even industrialized our country. I'm an engineer myself, unemployed. I've never been employed. Let's settle and know the problem with Kenya is debt. Is not debt. It's not the revenue collection. It's the bad governance that we need to deal with. And the question I wanted to ask Webb and probably engineer was, how sustainable is this system that you are saying we are going to implement if we don't have the right people in leadership? Thank you for the opportunity, and I'll continue to listen.
Thank you. Web and engineer, please hold on
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Don't respond to it. I'm bringing more questions, then you respond at once. Sam
Okay.
Chege, please come on board. Then
Yes.
we'll be followed by Jesse Watanga. Right. In that order.
And one more thing, we need ladies. Tell ladies to request the mic. We don't want to be only men.
Yes, yes.
It
I have
looks
seen Mercy is
chauvinistic.
here, Wangari is here. We will
Okay,
bring more.
you'll give them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for the mic. I appreciate you. So I love how and the conversation we were talking about this morning, since 3-4 weeks ago, since the Mandamano started. I support that without leaders, our system will fail. Because, I mean, computers are not meant to serve us, but we are meant to operate them in a way. So, how do we get good leaders? We first look at our legislatures, the MPs, the senators. I've always been asking this question: why should we have an MP paid 800,000 shillings per month? Then he attends sessions in parliament and they get sitting allowances. So I've always pondered the question in my head and I don't get answers. It's like saying you get a CEO of a company or a manager, you pay them quite well for that position. Then whenever they come to work, every time they get the sitting allowances for doing what you employ them to do. So we are the employers. We should seek the right channels to have these people make laws that will favor us. And how do we do that? So when the IBC is reconstituted, we will start by recalling MPs who are not serving our interest. After we recall MPs, we have people in the houses, in both houses, that are partyless. Because I don't see the need of having a president and or a government with majority in parliament. Parliament is supposed to be an independent institution, but having the majority that does the wills of the government is like having an extension of the executive in parliament. So we recall MPs. We have people, independent people in the houses. Then ask them, or not ask them, tell them, because we are the bosses, we put them in power. Make laws, make amendments to laws that are favoring us. These things to do with acts of parliament. In fact, acts of parliament do was not to finya sana, because you'll find positions like the prime CS are not in the law, but it's an act of parliament. Things to do with the housing levy, things to do with the CDF. An MP was elected primarily in the constitution to legislate, to represent, to oversight. CDF is not part of their mandate. Hakuna haja akuja aseme that you elect me, I will give you bursary. If you elect me, I will ndatengeneza pale ka drainage kwa hii estate. They should not do that. That money should go to the right people including the MOE, Minister of Education, and all that. Like, we channel money where we are sure that money will be used in the right manner. Senators have been doing without CDF since the 2013, 2012, and they have not, had extreme cases. Now the senators. So, guys, we start with the right people in power. We recall our these guys, and we put pressure. History, a conflict of interest bill at the Senate. We put pressure for them to amend the laws that they put ambazo natufinya. So I support a system where we'll be able to see just by a click of a finger the evils of certain people in government, but as well we have the right people in power that are going to put the system at play, because otherwise we might have all the systems that you want to have, but people will come in power na watazifunga those systems. They will then play the systems, watajua tu how to just assume or ignore the systems. So we begin with the right people, then we go down and we see sisi wenye tuko chini, we are getting the benefits we deserve as a people of Kenya, as citizens of Kenya. Thank you for the time. That is my submission.
Thank you. Kimuzi, allow me clear some air. Legrand has pointed out something about me. That is me, actually. If you allow, I can clear that air.
I was actually coming on your case very hard now.
Very good. Yeah, so the Dr. Ombati has mentioned, I was the CEC Health in Nyamira, a position I served from 2022 to 2023 when I was relieved of my duties. And the duties that I was relieved of was because of, I don't know whether it was a miscommunication or whatever that was. But Governor akasema kwamba nimeiba madawa, and so I was relieved of my duties. So the MCS came to him asking him how kama nimeiba madawa as a CEC where I was involved. The organization with whom we order the drugs, that is Meds, wrote a letter to the governor informing him of why this happened. So this is what happened. We ordered drugs with the Meds company. They were supposed to deliver it within a period of 7 days. The governor requested the drugs to be brought in a single day. This didn't happen. And they wrote a letter citing the uprising that was happening, that period, ile maandamano ilikuwa ya Raila, and it delayed the supply of the drugs. It didn't come within that period, but eventually the drugs were supplied. The governor did audit of the same, and eventually the audit that came out exonerated me or exonerated the Department of Health. The drugs were lost. Number two, the letter of sacking that the governor wrote to me is not mentioning anything about drugs that were lost. The letter of sacking that was written to me is saying that I lied to him. I lied to him that the drugs were supposed to be supplied within a day, but they eventually went ahead to be supplied in 7 days. So that is where the issue was. But I don't want to discuss so much about it because I had to go to court, and my case is active in court. And he's one guy I've been calling out because I believe whatever that we were doing and whatever that I was doing as the CEC Health was putting things, whatever that I'm discussing, whoever who has worked with me will share the same sentiments. I'm one guy who's my life has been very open, and it's a period I served. Now, finally, For the drugs to be lost, there is a chain of command. Those people who have worked in the government know this. Kuna the procurement, who did the same. They procured, I don't pay as the CEC. The accounting officer, who's the chief officer, paid. The chief officer finance approved the money to be paid. So my role as the CEC was to oversee the running of the department. And that is what the MCAs kept asking the governor. Those of you who have been following what has been happening in Kenya, and especially in Nyamira, would bear me witness that there's a point the MCAs almost toppled the governor out of office. This happened because of my case. They were asking him tough questions. Why are you sacking Ombati and you are leaving the procurement officers, you are leaving the chief officers, you are leaving all these other people, the chain that is involved in the procurement or in the supply of the drug. So there's hakuna dawa zilipotea. There was a miscommunication. There was a delay in supply, and the letter of sacking, which, of course, it's a personal thing, but it's also something that can be shared. Whoever who might want to know, or if people
Yeah,
may feel that
that's where I wanted you to actually share, because what we know, integrity, what defines a man is actually integrity, respect, honesty, trust, loyalty, and empathy and responsibility. So because I just pick to be fair and just, I pick randomly the speakers so that I can give everyone a chance to talk. And I just pick you randomly to co-host and speak, right? Where I didn't because
you're
I
right.
don't
You're
judge.
right.
Yeah, you remember, I don't judge. And to be fair, I don't want, because like granted DM me, I didn't see it, and he just told me about it. And to be fair, we have 7 speakers, and we don't know about your case. For me, I haven't ever been arrested. I don't have any court case, both home and here. I've never ever, like, I don't have any questionable trait or anything. And these other people, maybe they are like that, or I don't know. So maybe they
Yeah,
can take a
I
vote.
agree with you, Kimuzi. Neither have I been arrested, but I have a case that is ongoing in court because I'm the one who took the governor to court. I'll share the letter here so that people can be aware of what is happening.
Okay, if you share the letter, it will be really okay for
I'm
things.
actually sharing it. I don't know how to share it, but I'll share it to you so that you can share it to the rest of the people.
You just click the tweet, then share on the space.
Oh, okay. All
Okay,
right, so we can go ahead.
Mebs or Mebs can talk. Then Jesse has really raised his hand for a very long time.
So it was just then.
But let's wait. Let's give
Okay,
Jesse the space.
Jesse, then Mebs. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Kimuzi, for this opportunity. And my issues are very simple, are concerning the county government. As you might well be aware, um, we had a report that Kimani Wamatangi has denied investors opportunity to invest, and I think this cuts across the whole country, especially in my home county, that is Siaya County. We have to recognize Raila for his role in fighting for this, but they have started what they are doing right now. They want us to get off the streets, but I feel we have a very big problem, especially in Nyanza. So, what I'm doing towards this is I'm trying to mobilize youth, led by my president in KSL, that is Joshua Okau, that was abducted. So we want to mobilize youth, and if you are Gen Z and you're in Nairobi, because the cartels that are behind Raila Odinga and they are not working out. I saw Raila Odinga Jr. in the space. So please tell them there are legislators, especially in Nyanza, that have refused to work because they are hiding behind Raila. Although we respect Raila, but we also have to see development in Nyanza. Thank you very much for that opportunity. And thank you, Kimuzi.
Thank you. Mebs.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Kimuzi. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Thank you. Okay. I'll just start by saying that I agree 100% with all the sentiments that have been raised before, with especially with Web 3.0, because I, for sure, I'm a Kenyan in Germany, and I enjoy the fruits of a functioning institution. Yeah. And also, I agree that even when I, as MEBS, works in finance and controlling, there is no way I would even ever dream of applying for a job. Let's even be selected to run anything in the health sector, for instance. So at the end of the day, Ruto should not lie to us. We need that everybody who will be given this CS's position in future, and the next panel that is going to select, should be competence, integrity, and should be the key, yeah, qualifications. Otherwise, they should not take these jobs. And also, we need to kick tribalism out of this country. If those CS positions were, I don't know, 20 something, let them give them to the minority tribes. Let's see for once that somebody from, I don't know, the smallest tribe in Kenya, I don't know, uh, I can't remember the tribes. Yeah, some of them.
El Molo.
Exactly, El Molo people, or I think we have like Suba. I think I can't remember. Yeah, all that. Anyway, and anyone who is newly appointed should first ask for a public audit. Yeah, before they take the position. Otherwise, they should reject the position. If there's no audit, we don't know what they are going into. Yeah, and we don't know what rot they are going to be dealing with. So they should not even take that. Kimuzi, back to your question here. Tuendelee ama tusiendelee? Of course we're endeleaing. Tunaendelea until we want to make Ruto serve as an example to every other person who will ask for a presidential bid in Kenya, to know that this position, si ya kujoke, tunayo. Watu wa Kenya, my leaders are not people who you just stand up one day in a podium, say, I will do this, and then the next day say, I'll do something. You don't fulfill what your promises. No, this is what we don't want. Yeah, we don't want bandages on top of wounds. If something needs a surgery, we need to go and dissect it and look at the problem. Same way, I won't waste much time because Web 3.0 really stated every point that I wanted to talk about. This is where we want Kimuzi, we endelea kufinya kabisa. And I understand the speaker before me talk about the county. Once we clean on top, we are draining everything. Somebody else is appointed to any other position, they just come and continue the job. And then everything else will fall into place. Kimuzi, first of all, take your flowers, bro. You really make these spaces. I don't know what time you sleep, by the way. And I start to question if you're a real person, because I left you here last night and I found you here this morning. So take your flowers, and thank you very much for everybody who always makes their time to listen and contribute to this platform. Thank you.
I left a coast, so that's why I just woke up too.
All right, Kimuzi, I've already posted the letter. People can read it. And any other question, it can be raised. The next was there's a lady I had said will speak. Maybe she had dropped. Kenyan lady.
There is Kate. Okay. Kate hasn't spoken since he took the mic.
Kate, okay. So fine. Kenyan lady, once you finish. Okay. Kate start, then Kenyan lady will. Okay. Then Kenyan lady will come in.
Yeah, I had spoken earlier. I was talking about the tribal thing, and talking about the privatization of the company that the senators were trying to pass in the previous sitting. So I had spoken earlier. Thank you.
Thank you, Kenyan lady. Caleb, please go on. Kialo.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Wow. I started requesting for the mic yesterday at 6 jioni. At least nimeipata. So for me, I don't have much to say. A lot of things have been said, and a lot of things have been said. So personally, mi ni mtu nimegrow Kayole, place inaitwa Soweto, and I can relate to a lot of things this government has done for me. Mazee, I've suffered in this Kenya. Hii Kenya, mazee nimeteseka hii Kenya. Okay, time tulikuwa tunaishi Soweto, I can remember as a kid, nikiwa bado mtoi mdogo, hapo class 1, class 2, and you all know how Kayole is. And Kayole imewekwa in an image that msee akisikia unatoka Kayole, they perceive Kayole as some place that imebeba tu wezi, imebeba tu watu wabaya. But trust me, Kayole haina watu wabaya. Growing as a kid, I had some very traumatizing moments that unaamka asubuhi, unaenda shule, and unapata msee aliuawa jana jioni. As a kid, unavuka mwili ya msee. Na si ati aliuawa na wezi, ni polisi. Kayole was a place whereby, as a kid, alarm ya kwenda kulala ilikuwa bunduki. Nasikia tu risasi, pa! Unajua tu it's time to sleep. Nakumbuka saa hizo uko kwa nyumba ya mabati, the so-called silver apartments. So, as a kid, you know that you are not safe. Hizo bullets, unaweza catch stray bullet anytime. And also, these cops have been my enemies ever since I was a kid, man. Wamekuwa adui wetu. Maze tumeshikwa huku. Hujafanya kitu. Bro, you're being arrested because you are poor. Tulianza kunyimwa the rights of being citizens in Kenya ever since you were kids, man. Polisi wametutesa hii Kenya. Wametutesa. And me, my greatest problem is polisi, bada. Hatu nikiwananga wakichukua hongo hapa kwa barabara. Mazi, I hate those guys. I hate them with every ounce of energy that I have. I hate those people. I hate those people. They destroyed our childhood. Unapata hata ukigrow unakuwa mkubwa, you're just traumatized. Ulianza kuona maiti ukiwa mdogo. That's why kenanga protest, man, you have nothing to lose. Walianza kutufeli. It's not that hatuna akili, bro. People living here, we are smart, we are learned, man. Personally, I have a degree. Currently, I'm doing my diploma. And I can remember a time nikienda interview. Kumbuka vizuri sana, Talanta Plaza, Upper Hill, Ministry of Youth Affairs, Creative Economics and Sports. I have a degree in Recreation and Sports Management. I was going to interview for an entry-level job. Guess what happened, bro? Venye nilienda hiyo interview, shamelessly, a lady mwenye hajafanya anything related to sports comes and tell me, tukiwa hapo, that I don't know his relative mjinga mgani, yeye hakujua hata job ili announcewa. Me, I followed the due process. Nimeenda huko kutafuta job. Aniambia relative sijui mgani, alimuita, akamwambia job iko. And that lady took my job. She took my job because tulikuwa my job. I was qualified for that. Man, nepotism. Nepotism is another thing. People do not get this position based on merit. That's the worst thing that we have. Me, by then in my life, I can never be led. Never in my life. Hata niende institution gani. Mtu danda kuniliko. Bro, heri nikae jobless. I've been jobless my entire life and I'm surviving. Saina survive vizuri sana. Though I'm not doing like a job inaniingizia do mob, but bro, I'm surviving. And then the last thing that I want to say, I've suffered. I started by saying I've suffered in this country. I've suffered in this country. And to make it worse, this regime is making it even worse. Before, at least I had a right to be a citizen. Currently, they are taking even my rights to be a citizen of Kenya. Man, kukuwa na ID, I'm being charged 1,000 shillings. kukuwa na ID. And to make it worse, naambiwa that nitairenew. So the big question is, what if I don't renew the ID? Like, sijalipa hiyo nini ya kurenew the ID. Does it mean I'm not a Kenyan anymore? Both my parents are Kenyans. And both of them come from the same tribe. And also this thing called tribalism. Maze, I hate you. My parents from kuzaliwa, since I was young, my parents have been against tribalism. Kabisa, you are speaking anything to do with Kikuyu or anything to do with Kalenjin, bro, you are out of that house. Because we know what happened in 2007. Man, tribalism is not a good thing. I know other people may be saying about tribalism, they don't know the effect of tribalism. I've suffered in this regime. ID niliapply last year, December. ID yangu ilipotea kwa gari. Man, mpaka leo, naendanga naambiwa kama after 2 weeks. Mpaka leo sijaipata ID. Naendanga kila siku, your ID ijatokea, come after 2 weeks. Until I gave up. Sahi na survive na duplicate ID. Passport, sahi imechukua I don't know 1 and how many years. Niliona Citizen TV kiannounce some bullshit ati sijui ID zimetolewa but watu wajaenda kupick, I don't know nini. Some very cock and bull stories zenye wanaeka hapo. I went uko Nyayo house kutafuta ID. There is no ID. There is no passport, sorry. There is no passport that was there. Man, these regimes of governments from Moi era has failed us. It has failed us as young people. It has failed us. I trust that we have very bright people in Kenya. Young people, maze. Sometimes in the street, nikiwakingi tu na wasee, I find a lot of young people and we discuss about the careers that they did. Some people did engineering, some people did medicine. But when you start talking with these people from a deeper perspective to ya Kenya, to matters entailing economy, matters entailing their career, you feel like, bro, this guy is smart, this guy is sharp, man. These are the guys when wanafaa change hii nchi. Nitaachia hapo.
Caleb, let me just
Yes.
ni Caleb ndio ameongea.
Yes.
I just want to tell Caleb, sipendangi kwa motivational speaker or anything, but I'm sure things will change. It will change na itakuja in some way. Nilikam to realize I'm not glorifying suffering or anything, but mse unapitianga such instances, then your life changes in a better trajectory. I don't know how to explain this, but ukikuja kurealize saizi watu wengi hapa, sijui watu wangapi wamelala njaa hapa. Mimi nimelala njaa mara kadhaa nikiishi Roysambu. I just want to encourage Caleb to keep moving. Asiseme I've suffered, because sometimes nilikuja kurealize ukisema hivyo inakuleta sana, so inakufunza hata usurvive in life. Nilikam kurealize saizi most people, tuseme kaa politicians saizi, kaa kina Murkomen au wenye walitolewa jana, wakienda to the jungle hawajui kusurvive. Sisi wenye tumesurvive without jobs, umefanya writing, umeenda mahali sijui kuna mahali unafaa kuandika report fulani, unaandikia mtu unasaidiwa, unapata do kiasi, umesurvive. Unaweza kaa hata siku 2 bila kudishi na unacheka. Umekaa campus, unakaa the whole morning haujakula breakfast, unalala ndio uamkie ukule lunch uende class ya after. Umeata tu class. Sisi tunaata class juu, unaata class kupenda, unaata class juu hauna namna, una get. So vitu change. Me personally, vile umesema tribalism is a killer. Sasa kuna wars hata kaa tribalism. Eldoret, Wasingishu, Mandago akiwa governor, kulikuwa na intertribalism, like imeingia ndani. Sasa wanageuza like naweza mimi na Mnandi na Kipsigis tunaelewana, but I am a Keyo, sina wakalenjin wote tunaelewana, but unapata jueni Mkeyo haupei kazi. I went to an interview, vile nimesikia ki-complain, and I was actually naelewa chenye anasema. Kienda unaenda interview na mtu mwingine anapewa kazi. Nilienda interview, it's not that I was even qualified for the job. I just applied for water engineering sport and I was niliselectiwa kibahati. So vile nilienda nilienda, si unajua ile umeenda hata sikuwa na simu, mtu amenitafuta hadi huko Ocha amesema umeselektiwa huko, shortlistiwa, na mimi hata nilikuwa nimeepa Nairobi juu maisha imenitandika. So kufika huko nimeenda hata tu ile unaenda tu kujipeleka juu hata ulibahatisha. Kufika huko unapata watu wamedunga suti, watu wanakuja na sijui mtu amefanya kazi 5 years, 10 years, ni civil engineer, anakuja kupigania job ya job group K water engineer, unalipwa 40k, sijui ikikuja hiyo ni basic salary, ikikuja yote ni 60k. Watu wamekuja sijui ni, then kuna dem tu vile umesema dem fulani tu alikuja mwisho. We were actually 20 men shortlisted, 20 people shortlisted, and it was 12 men 8 ladies. I will never forget. Juu nilienda nikasema sasa hawa watu wanasema wametufanyia ni, tumeenda panel, tumegriliwa, wametugrill hadi mimi wameniuliza, nimekaa nje ya kutosoma for 3 years, tumeuliza hata maswali hata ukumbuki shule juu maisha imekutandika kwanza huku nje. So by the time unajaribu unaulizwa maswali hata uradi vitu nini endelea hapa. Then mwisho actually I took that time, juu nakumbuka nilikuwa kwa panel ya CCs na watu. I decided to talk about mental health na depression. Nikamwambia mchungange sana watoto wenu, msione wakilewa mudhani wanalewa kupenda, wanalewa juu hawana namna. And that time nilikuwa nashindanga cake join, so ilikuwa every point unashinda cake join juu hauna life. But nilikam realize the more una self victimize, unajiself sabotage, itakudrainisha down. Unaona hata ukisoto ukioko chini, jipe hiyo kiburi, like kwa arrogant kiasi, utaona utapanda juu bila wewe kujua. So after some time tukakaa hapa tu tuna among those 20 interviews tulikuwa 12 men. None of the men alipata hiyo job. Trust me on this. Watu waliandika wives wao. Kumbe the wives walikuwa wamekuja watu wa county kuandikwa county. Wameandika water engineer. Sasa what value does that person bring to the county? Like I was just flabbergasted. Hata mimi sikuwa nadai hiyo. Tuseme hiyo position singepata. Kuna msee wa Jiko hata niko sure labda hata kwa hii space ama ananisikiza. Huyu jamaa alikuja hata akanitafuta Twitter akasema tulikuwa na ile nini juu niliongelea. Akaniambia yani yeye alikuwa na kila kitu, ni civil engineer. Civil engineer unaweza fanya water engineering vizuri. Mimi nilifanya hata different course ya water engineering but ni by system. Lakini sasa alikuwa amefanya civil engineering. Like anafaa hata kuwa na kuna experience. Yeye aliwekwa nje. Kuna msee alikuwa na first class sijui which engineering, but aliwekwa nje, but wakachukua madem. What value do those people add to the county? So chenye nimekam realize na hii county governments, national government, they self-sabotage themselves, because unakuja kuangalia NIS iko na watu wa masonko wenye na wajinga. Angalia hawa watu wangekuwa wamepea, if NIS ingekuwa fully functional, Ruto angejua kuna movement kai inatokelezea. Angalia vile walishikwa na surprise, because these people feed them lies. They don't know what they are doing. Wangepea mtu wa huko chini tu, tuseme saizi Caleb anatoka amesema Soweto unajua vile vijana wanaishi Soweto, vile wanasukuma maisha, vile wanalewanga, vile wana complain about government. Tuseme ungepewa kazi ya NIS kwa grao, niko sure ungekuwa umepeleka information huko juu, ambia watu huko chini by the vijana wanasafa na watakuja huku kuwageuzia serikali. So at the end of the day, tribalism, hizi mavitu za nepotism, hizi vitu za corruption bado hawa watu wajui, it will come to bite back to them. So Caleb, I just want to tell you, after that mimi nilienda nikauza viazi. Nilikuwa nauza viazi actually Twitter. Siku give up after nimeambiwa tulitumia tu text application not successful, or application na hizo nyingine unatumianga in the future sijui nini usomangi hizo, unasomanga ya kwanza. So after that nikasema stay apply. I've never been employed in Kenya. I've never been employed in Kenya. Niliona shida hiyo time yote unatembea. So nikaanza kuuza viazi na busy kashika, like it was one of the best moments. Then nikapata hii chance, nikaichukua. So chenye naweza kukwambia tu, something better is coming. It's not like it's a guarantee, but just look at that perspective. Like sitaki kuwa motivational speaker, nataka uangalie from a realistic perspective. Na mali umefika in life, setu umesafa, hiyo experience umegain, umegain kugonga maisha. Angalia mali mimi niko saizi hapa kwa wazungu. Wazungu kuna vitu mimi naonanga, kuna makazi labda hawezi fanya, mimi nacheka na smile naambia, mimi huko acha nimeingia kazi ya mahindi, mashela, sijui nimelima shamba solo, imesombwa na maji like maisha. Kale by the way nilikuwa kayo nafanya kitu na nimeinvest 10,000 kwa nyanya, nilipost kwa TL zote, mvua ikanyesha ikasomba kazi yangu ya 3 months. Nimeenda sijui wapi, nimeoshwa kazi ya writing, nimeenda hadi Keno, nimeacha Roysamu, sina hata fare. But at the end of the day nilikam realize hii vitu inakuja ina play a role in your life that you will come back and reflect and look at that. Labda ulikuwa unapimwa for the betterment of your life in some like the better step. Unajua life ni gradual step, so don't say nimesafa nimefanya hii. Gava by the way imetutesa, hata mimi sikatai, imenitesa. Gava Uhuru mimi ilinitesa kabisa, nikadhani Ruto atatusaidia, but saizi sijakaa gava ya Ruto, sijui vile iko, but watu wanazua, hata you can read the environment. But ya Uhuru ilikuwa mimi nilisafa, mimi sitakudanganya, personally I suffered na watu wengi walisuffer. So I would just like to encourage you, kitu kaa ID saizi utapush pole tunaweza kukupushia. Kitu kaa passport, hata mimi my brother ali apply sijui wewe hajaipata. So ni kitu kingine nataka tu kuencourage uangalie from a different perspective the life. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you Kimuzi.
Malizia.
Okay, the last thing, the question hapo, tuendelee ama tusiendelee? Maze tuendelee. And just a parting shot too. As much as nasema we have suffered and everything, that one doesn't make sense. There's always a silver lining, and the silver lining is we have us, we have each other. Najua before you are going through a lot, knowing that you are alone, but we have us, and we are the change that is coming. Walikuwa asema we are the leaders of tomorrow. No, we are the leaders now. We are the leaders now. You can make a change anywhere you are. Anywhere you are, with any gadget you have, hiyo simu, we are the change. So tunaendelea. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my brother Kimuzi. Kimuzi, you've shared. Kenyan lady, you will speak after this. Kimuzi, you have spoken, and hiyo ndio story watu wamepitia. After
all the money that they stole, for the millions that they used to flaunt around with, giving people in sports and all that. So comrades, today we are meeting here to give ourselves hope that we might see some successes, but we've not won the battle yet. The battle and the mantra remains, Ruto, niko njaa hata siwezi karanga, ohahe shagala bagala, niko tayari kulipa gharama, sitasimama maovu yakitawala, sitasimama maovu yakitawala. Ufisadi, ubinafsi, ukabila, kuuza sura, wataki kuuza sera. Undugu ni kufana, sitasimama maovu yakitawala, sitasimama maovu yakitawala. Viva comrades, viva! More power to the people, more power! More power to the revolution, more power. Thank you very much.
A round of applause. So the very immediate next segment is first-hand account, narratives and testimonials of various victims. We are going to start with the victims of police brutality, and this segment is going to be led by Linus Mwashigadi. Over to you.
A very good morning to all of you. We welcome you to the Citizens Assembly here today. In this session, we will get to hear from the victims themselves what they faced, their first-hand accounts. For those that are joining us virtually, we welcome you, and you can join in the conversation. For the first speaker, I'd like to call Nadia Nthia to come up and to take us through her experience and the police brutality she met during her protest. You can begin with explaining who you are, and perhaps there or here. Okay, you can just have a seat here. And then we can have a series of questions, and then we'll open the floor for Q&A. For those that are here, you can join by reserving your questions. And those that are live, you can also post your questions online. Is it on? No, it's not. It's on. Thank you so much, Nadia, for being brave and coming forward to share some of your experiences and the police brutality that you met while you were protesting. Let's begin by you introducing yourself. Who is Nadia, and why did you protest? Let's begin from there.
Good morning. My name is Nadia Nthia. I am a lawyer. I am an advocate trainee at the Kenya School of Law, admitted to the Advocates Training Program 2024-2025. And I joined the movement majorly because I believed in the cause. We were fighting the system over economic policies that were set to disproportionate the common mwananchi. So that was my motivation. We need a society that works for all of us. We need systems that work. So, yeah.
What are some of your experience, if you can recount and tell us? What did you experience?
Wow, I experienced quite a lot. I was abducted. About 2 or so weeks ago with my partner. And according to our captors, they had been trailing me for about a week before they took me, just waiting for the order to say, okay, now you can take her. And the day before they took me, I moved out of my house temporarily. I went to stay with my partner because I believed I was going to be safe there. But they found me even there. My phone had been off for like 2 days. I was communicating majorly with my laptop. I had my apps on my laptop. My phone was off because I had been told they were tracking me using my number. So, I was saying, sorry, ADHD. The day before they took me, I had come from school, from the Kenya School of Law. I wasn't using my phone entirely. Even the trip that I took from the Kenya School of Law to the house, my partner had to request from his phone, and I was paying for things in cash. It was crazy. I was living in fear for about a week before they took me. I was purely, entirely in hiding, but they still found me. So anyway, at around 6 p.m. the day before, I got to the house, and something just told me, you know what, check the window, like look outside. And I checked, and I saw a silver SUV parked outside, and 3 men got out of it. So I called my partner at that time. using my laptop on WhatsApp. And I told him, okay, you know what? There is a silver SUV parked outside. There are 3 guys moving around. I'm scared that they're going to take me right now. I don't know what to do. So he tells me, just calm down, breathe, observe, text me everything, like tell me everything that's going on. I'm on my way. So I observed them for about half an hour. They were just moving around. It was like surveillance of some sort. So they were moving around, observing the area. I don't know what they were trying to find really, but that went on for like half an hour. Then they left. And around the same time they were leaving, he arrived. I was so scared. I was rooted to one spot of the living room the entire time until he got there. Then I was like, oh, phew, now I can breathe. So that evening went by. It was very calm. It was peaceful. We slept.
What was your emotional state at that point?
My anxiety was so bad. I was having panic attacks after every couple of hours. It was insane because the day before they had taken my friend Shadrach, so I had a feeling that they were going to come for me next, especially if they went through his phone. Yeah, so that evening went by it was calm, it was quiet, we slept. I wasn't able to sleep much during that period because, of course, nerves, anxiety. So at around 4 a.m., I hear movements outside. So I'm like, okay, maybe it's the neighbors coming, getting home from somewhere. And I brushed it off as nothing. And then they knocked. They knocked at our door. And I brushed that off as well. The knocking got louder and louder. And at that point, I woke him up. I was like, they're here. They've come for me. And before that, I had typed out a tweet on my laptop that I was going to send out when they came, like, Wamenichukua. But I didn't even have time to send that out. Yeah, so I woke him up. I told him, there's someone at the door. So he got up. I'm scared. I'm shaken. It is so loud. They wanted to break down the door at that point. They shouted something at him in Luo, Nyerere something. He later told me it meant, open this door or we're going to break it down.
Mm-hmm.
So he went to the door. I stayed in the bedroom, scared as hell. I'm still in my nightwear. I was fixed to that spot. I didn't know what to do. He went to the door, he opened it. As soon as he opened it, they put him down. Blindfolded him, tied him up, came in to look for me. They were 7 with guns as big as me.
Could you tell their faces?
No, I could not. They were wearing baklavas, they were masked up, so I could not see their faces at all. I could just hear voices. It was just voices. So they put him down, came into the bedroom looking for me. Mm-hmm. I saw their guns and, dude, I'm very short. So when I tell you their guns are as big as me, I saw them and the first thing that came to my mind was, why are they coming to get us a little girl with military-grade weapons? I'm not a terrorist. The only thing I did wrong was use my social media and my voice for a cause that I believed in, for a cause that millions of Kenyans believe in. So at that, I told you I was sitting in my nightwear. So they wanted to take me like that, but one of them had sense and said, no, let her get into something that's a bit warmer, more appropriate. Yeah, they didn't even want to let me dress up. They were just standing there, watching me, waiting for me to undress and give them some kind of show. They're sick people. No, but one of them, the one who had sense, mm-hmm. Yeah, the sense was constant. He told them, okay, maybe we can give her a minute to get changed. And then, yeah. So I dressed up. I just put a t-shirt and one of my official pants on and this exact jacket and a sweater, and I took one for him as well. I didn't know they were going to take him. Initially, I thought, okay, they're just going to come for me and he's going to get me out. But they took him too. So I took a jacket for him and they tied us up, they blindfolded us, and we left. So took us down the stairs.
Blindfolded from
the house.
From the house.
there were instances where they used to take off the blindfold, like if we went to the washroom, which we went to a lot. So they took us into the car. I don't even know if we locked the house. I have no idea what happened after that. At that point in my head, I was just like, oh God, shit. Sorry for the colorful language, but that's what was going on in my head. So they put us in a car. I didn't know we were in the same car because later on I was told there were 3. So in my head, I was also thinking, okay, where did they take him? What are they going to do to him? Not my partner. Where did they take him? And then later on I came to realize, oh, he's right here. So calm down a bit. So they put us in the cars and we drove for nearly 20 minutes, got to our destination. The entire time, these guys are hitting my head, like, usijaribu kutoa your blindfolds, utanikasirisha and you don't want to make me mad. So they're hitting my head and confirming, is this thing on? It was so tight, my head hurt so bad, my ears. It was crazy. So we got there, we sat in the car for about 10 minutes, and the entire time they're like, other guys came and they were like, oh, unda Nadia, oh, unda ringleader. Nkasichana kadogo, ndo kana ringleader tu kuna wanawano. So I'm like, at that time I'm scared, I'm like, mimi sija ringleader tu. That's all I kept saying. And they took us inside. It felt like a house. So they took us inside the house and put us in a room. Later I realized there were 2 beds. So my partner was in the other one and I was on the one on the right. Still blindfolded this entire time and tied up. So they left us there for a few minutes. And then I think we were handed over. The people who took us are not the same people who were interrogating us. So we were handed over from one team to another.
I'd like to call other guys who are also in the room, Ernesti Nyerere and Bill Simani, to also recount on their experience as well, so that we can get the conversation going and it becomes more an engagement. Thank you so much. Let's give him a round of applause, please. Thank you so much. It's Billy, correct?
Yeah.
For coming on stage. Ernest will be joining us shortly. Just briefly recount for us how the experience was for you.
Hi. My name is Billy Simani, otherwise known as Crazy Nairobian. Okay, for me, I was, I think, the first guy to be abducted. So for me, it was more of a surprise. We had just come from a successful Thursday maandamano. So on Friday, I was still asleep throughout the day. I just woke up constantly to tweet and go back to sleep. So at 3 p.m., I think it was on 21st June, I had a knock on the door. At first, I thought it was the caretaker because that's the only person that can knock at my door. So I went to open the door. So I was still in my t-shirt and my short. I went to the door, opened it, and I saw it was 4 guys in balaclava. The 5th one was a lady because she had on a face mask. And the first question they asked me was, Billy? And out of shock, I answered, yes. Na yote nyoto wameshikilia mlango. So they all rushed in. The first guy ran to the balcony. I think they thought that maybe I would escape. Mm-hmm. Then the second one went to the bedroom. And then the third one, it was this huge guy. He told me to face the wall. Alafu, they told me to sit down. And the next thing I know, I was being slapped with brand new wrist bracelets. Yani pin nyuma. Alafu, the other guy went for my laptop and my phone. And then they started interrogating me. First, they asked me to open my phone. They wanted me to unlock my phone, but I refused. And then the whole time I was asking, nimefanya nini? Nataka nijue nimefanya nini? And they silenced me with a few rounds of claps, all of them.
Wow.
And so I realized this is not usual, because first of all, I was just tweeting normally. I hadn't done anything wrong. And the other guy went for my t-shirt, the Maandamano t-shirt, it was on my chair. I thought maybe they were taking evidence, but they wanted to use the t-shirt to cover me up. So the whole time I was pleading with them to at least let me put on some pair of trousers, but they refused. And then they asked me the last time, tufungulie simu tafadhali. And I told them, mimi niambie kwanza mnanishikia nini ndio nijue. They silenced me once again with a few rounds of clap, all of them. And you know, I live on the 7th floor. And that's the first time ever since I moved into that building that night I stairs now. I think it was a few seconds because they were too quick. I couldn't see because walikuwa wameni-cover up. The next thing I know, I'm being sandwiched in the back of a car. Mm-hmm. I think there was one guy on my right, the other one on my left. And then we drove around for like 2 hours. So me, in my mind, I knew that I'm being taken out of Nairobi somewhere. And I knew this was it because first of all, they didn't introduce themselves. Second of all, I've been blindfolded. So the next thing I knew, story yangu imeisha hivyo. So we drove around for like 2 hours. Then they started whispering. And then one of them was asking for directions from someone on the phone. And then they sent him the pin. And then the next thing I know, I'm pulling up to, I don't know, one of them, they stopped the car, they came out, and then one of them was like, ni hapa? Then the others were like, yeah, ni hapa. Wakasema, sawa, toa huyo jamaa tumalizane na hapa kwa kahawa tuende kufanya kazi ingine. And I knew that was it. Mm-hmm. And then the next thing I know, I'm being taken out of the car. I was still in my t-shirt, my short, barefoot, hands tied behind my back. I've been blindfolded. The next thing I know, I'm being taken down the stairs into a room. It was a very cold room. Then they told me to lie on my stomach. They asked me they asked my name. I told them Bilisimani. The next thing, they wanted my ID number. The next thing, they asked me where I come from. I think on contact kujua ushago ni wapi. I told them. Then they asked me nimeshikiwa wapi. So I was like, I thought these were the guys that brought me here. So I think those were the other guys that I was handed to who were asking questions. They made me lie on that floor for like an hour. Then after an hour, somebody came. They took me upstairs into, I think it was an interrogation room. Those guys at the interrogation room were a bit friendly. The guys at where I was being held up were a bit rough. So the next thing I know, I'm being sat on a chair, and then one of the guys started asking me questions. They asked me the usual question: what is your name, your ID number, where do you live, your social media handles. They wanted Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. And then the next thing they told me was, we're going to ask you questions and you're going to answer us. If you don't, first of all, this is not a police station, so they might not find you, so you have to cooperate. And I was like, this was it. So they wanted to know who was funding these protests. And I told them, no one, it's just the youth. There are people who are coming up and buying water. Some people are coming up and buying t-shirts. Watu wanajitolea tu. Then they told me, the reason why we have brought you here is because tungeongea nawe kwako, ulikuwa kichwa ngumu. First of all, we need you to unlock that phone. And I was like, mimi nataka nijue nimeshikiwa nini. And they told me once more, I'm the one asking the questions. You're going to open this phone because we want to see something. And then I just decided to open the phone for them. I told them the code. They checked. I think they were looking to see if somebody was funding us, and they didn't find anything. So they took me down to where I was being held. I think it was a downstairs. It was a very cold room. I slept there the whole night. My hands on my back, still in my short and t-shirt the whole night. So they came for me the next day. That's when they brought in tea, and then they transferred my hands to the front. And then after tea, I was taken back to the interrogation room, and then the guy was friendly enough to ask for a blanket. And then they told me, we wanted you to first to meditate and think about your questions first. So I think now you're ready to cooperate with us and tell us what you want to know.
Perhaps, so, Billy, during the entire time, paint us that experience that you had that entire time, because you're talking of you being slapped at the back, you being tied up, your hands, having to sleep in a cold room the entire night. Just paint us in a minute how that experience was for you.
The whole time I was trying to think, what tweet gave me out? Like, what did I say? Because the only thing I knew, I was protesting like the rest of my colleagues. So I was wondering why I was brought here. And the whole entire time I didn't know why I was brought there. Like, I knew this was the end for me. So it was like a psychological warfare, because first of all, they removed the cuffs, the handcuffs, and then they replaced them with, they're called ziplock, zip ties. And the more I was struggling, the more they were tightening. So my hands were numb. I couldn't sleep the entire time. I was trying to like listen and know where I was, but there was no sound, no nothing. I didn't know if there was anybody in the room. So I wasn't even sure if I was in a police station or what. But I later realized the following day when they transferred the hands to the front, when I had the chance and lifted my blinds, I was in a toilet. I was actually in a toilet. It's a very small toilet. And that's where I was held the whole night. And then they would occasionally come. And when they came, they announced that they are coming, so I had to face the wall. Then they tightened the blindfolds again. They take me to the interrogation room. I think by that time, people had made enough noise on social media. I was all over, I was in the news, and they were tense at that fast, and they were telling me, your friends think that we have killed you. They're making noise all over. So we're not here to kill you. We are just trying to keep the country at peace. And they told me on Thursday, the day before they arrested me, the protest was so huge, and then goons came in at around, I think 6, 7, and they started burning a few matatus. They started destroying properties. So in their mind, they thought that maybe we were sponsored by either a politician or someone. So they wanted to know who was this that was sponsoring the protest. And that's when I explained to them that ours is a peaceful protest. That's why we have even printed T-shirts, and we have given out a memo that anybody who is going to appear in the protests, wakuje kama wamevaa black, so that we identify each other. And then they wanted to know how we were going to ensure that the protest was peaceful. And that's why I told them to go and look at my tweets. We had previously said that everybody should use their smartphone. If you see anybody vandalizing anything, take a picture, post it, so that when they try to pin the destruction on us, we at least have evidence. So they went through my tweets and they saw everything that we were telling people. We had even posted how people are supposed to conduct themselves during the peaceful protest. And I think that was what helped me to be alive right now.
Thank you so much, Billy. Ernest, karibu sana to the podium. Just give us a brief introduction of who you are and your participation in the protest and how it impacted you.
All right. I'm Ernest Nyerere. I'm a patriot. A lover of our country, and I work with the President of the Law Society of Kenya. My involvement in the protest was largely piecemeal because I take the work that we do with the President very seriously, and it means that you have to understand the delicate balance of sharing your views and how it can affect the responsibility, the greater responsibility that lays on the shoulder of the person that you work with. So as a principal, I try to manage how vocally I share my views. Of course, I have very strong views, and I have my own opinions of how things should work, but I understand that extrapolations are a norm in our society. So to avoid such extrapolations, I keep my role as professional as possible, and my involvement in the protest was in supporting the work that the Council of the Law Society of Kenya was doing, and of course, under the leadership of the President. So I wouldn't say I was the number one agitator, but I supported it in a more strategic capacity in the role that I hold.
Thank you so much, Ernest. I'd like to come back to Nadia. What is your perception about civic engagement now that you have experienced police brutality, and according to you, you're protesting, it's your right. What is your perception about civic engagement after the entire police brutality?
Thank you. I believe so far we're doing well with regards educating ourselves and educating members of the society on how we can keep the people who are in these positions of power accountable and keeping the systems in check and whatnot. So civic education right now, I think, is moving in the direction that it was supposed to be moving in previously. It's better than it was before, I think also because of the incidents that we have had of people getting murdered, people getting maimed, injured, abducted like ourselves. So our society is moving in the right direction, I believe. We are moving in the right direction.
Thank you so much, Nadia. At this point, I'd like to take a comment, not really a comment, but welcome at _Oduk, who's joining the conversation from X. If we could have him, please. Okay, so we're getting him through. So at this point in time, we're just opening the floor for Q&A. So if you have any questions, kindly jot it down and the person to whom you want the question directed to. So I'd like to ask Billy, perhaps, how do you think the victims of police brutality can get support, having gone through yourself police brutality?
I think most of us need like a psychological evaluation, because the moment I was released, the first thing was to switch off my phone, because I'm still paranoid at how they located me, how they even knew my house, my door. Like up to now, my phone is still off. I'm using a different line. And I haven't been staying at one place. I've been staying at different people's places because I'm still afraid, because I think that they might come back for me. So if you know anybody that has been through what you have been through, the best you can do is be there for them, support them, talk to them, because I don't think any of them want to be alone at this time.
To you, Ernest, whipping you back to the conversation from a law perspective, how do you think the demonstrations should be handled from the law perspective with those that are enforcing the law, that is the police, of course?
Well, of course, We have to understand that a democratic society is the number one sort of dream that our constitution envisions, and that is why we have very elaborate structures, institutions, and provisions on ensuring that the people can engage in a democratic manner and ascertain a democratic and fair and equal society. Now, we've all had the conversations that have been there about Article 37 and all the relevant constitutional provisions under the Bill of Rights with respect to participation of the people, how the people are supposed to engage. And the reality is the people of Kenya have come to an awakening that, hey, these are our rights. We gave them to ourselves, and it is upon ourselves to enjoy them. And this realization is because the people that have been entrusted with ascertaining the protections of these rights have failed. You look at the duty of the police and Article 244, they have to uphold constitutional standards of human rights, but is that what they do? When baddies are walking with water bottles and their iPhones and simply trying to talk about what their rights are, and you tear gas them. It's very unfortunate, Advocates trying to uphold the right to fair trial, going to police stations to represent people who, mind you, have been unlawfully arrested. Then you tear gas these lawyers, not caring for their health, not caring for their duty to the people. Then what kind of setup are you trying to put in place? We find ourselves in a situation where we stand at the risk of those in positions of power choosing when to suspend the constitution and choosing when to adhere to it when it suits them. And therefore, it is a moment of awakening where we as the people of Kenya need to come together. We need to stand up to all the ills that have characterized our country historically and since the promulgation of the new constitution, and we need to appreciate that we have a wonderful constitution, and it is upon us to make it work for ourselves, because our political leaders have not just failed, they have refused to implement it.
Thank you so much, Ernest. Nadia, just walk us through how this entire experience has really changed in terms of how now you view life and everything else.
My life has changed so drastically in the span of 1 month. I cannot even tell you. As Billy said, we need a lot of psychosocial support. The anxiety, constantly having to look over your shoulder, constantly being scared that people are out to get you. I also haven't stayed in my house for more than 2 days at a go since this thing started. Just jumping from relative to relative, friend to friend. I stayed with my partner also for some time. So it's crazy. As I was telling my story right now, I could feel like a panic attack was coming on, because as I recount those events in my head, I feel like I'm back there. I feel like I'm going through that again. So, Billy, on your end, how is it for you?
It's not simple, because you walk around, everybody knows you. From the news that you are missing, everybody wants to hear your side of the story. But at the same time, you are scared because, first of all, I didn't see those guys. I didn't see any of their faces. So in a way, I can't trust anyone. I'm a bit skeptic. And now my life isn't normal because my phone has to be constantly on flight mode, because I'm getting a lot of calls, relatives, they want to know how I am. So I always reach out to my mom so that she can at least tell them that I'm okay. But at the moment, I'm moving around constantly from house to house because I don't want to be found in my house again alone.
So much. As from the end, from the Law Society of Kenya, perhaps are you looking at ways in which you can be able to get justice for people like Nadia and Billy?
Well, I'd have to say that I wouldn't want to
claim to speak for the Law Society of Kenya, but I would have to admit that it is important that those who are capable and are in positions to intervene do intervene. And of course, I appreciate my relationship with the Law Society, and being a victim myself, I think it is in order that the Law Society takes an active position in representing these people and, finding redress, because as they've shared, the experiences were not easy. There are issues of there must be reparations. That is what we must agree as a people, we must agree as a society. There must be reparations, there must be consequences. So we would have to say all the things that we have experienced should not go in vain. For instance, the day I was taken is the day I knew hot water tastes good. I ordinarily do not take hot water, but it was the only thing on offer. Yeah, it was the day I was reminded of how it feels kupigwa kofi ya kisogo. I have not been hit on the backside of my head since I was 9 years old, and that's quite some time back. But those reminders came in, and it was a harrowing experience. But we have capacity. We have numbers, we have capability, we have courts that are not just prepared, but are required to make sure that justice is served. And I do believe that all the partners who have taken part in putting this together, the Citizen Assembly, will work as well to ensure that the necessary reparations are found for all the victims and all the families of those who lost their lives.
Thank you so much, Ernest. I don't know if the people here have any questions to our panelists. If we could have perhaps the mic going round. If you have any question, just raise up your hand so that we can have an interactive engagement for our panelists here. Yeah, floor manager, there is a question there from the gentleman, and then you can have the lady to my left, the gentleman to my right, the first. Thank you so much. You please state your name and your question and to whom is it directed to.
I don't have a question. I just would like to do something. Can I ask the three of you to stand up and turn around and face that side? I am used to giving instructions. I was in a school in a minute. Please stand up. Come as close to the edge without falling. Okay. Just look there, don't look back. Just be present. The rest of you stand up. I want you to imagine you are back there and all these people have your back. But you could not see them, but they were all calling for your release. But none of them forgot you for that moment. And in that sense, be present to the fact that when we take a stand as human rights activists, we are never alone. There are 56 million people who are slowly beginning to find capacity to protect you. I'm not sure if this is a question, but we have your back.
Thank you so much. We have another question from the second row to my left on this other side. The lady in green, I presume. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. My name is Diana Gishengo, and just like Irungo, I have no question. And mine is to say thank you. Thank you very much for your sacrifice, for what you have done for this country. We really thank you. Nadia, erase from your mind, you did nothing wrong. You did nothing wrong in all the posts you did and what you did on the street. We celebrate you, we honor you. I think in addition to having their back, can we all pledge that the torture they went through, in addition to the people who have lost their lives, the firing of cabinet is not enough, is it? for patriots to have sat in a toilet because they demanded good governance. Parliament must go. For all the wrong investments in military guns, silencers, we need a new budget. Not the one that he's referring to. We need a new budget. And finally, if the president could not apologize for this, he said they were fake. Look at these people. They are here, we can see them. Does he deserve to be our president? No. Ruto must? No. Thank you.
Thank you for those opinions. Any other round of questions?
Atit Mwiroki, just confirm you're able to hear me. Count 1 to 10.
People power. People power. Thank you very much. My name is Brian Okiya. Actually, we really don't even need to ask questions. We need to speak.
Atit Mwiroki, just confirm you're able to hear us.
In this country,
Atit Mwiroki, _7. Just confirm you're able to hear us.
Bunch of bones and muscles.
If you can, just
that is what we are doing.
Doable. It's doable to track them internationally, especially since these are very stupid people who use the dollar system. And so if we make that request and through the Interpol, there's a chain of those requests that they're submitted, but it's doable. And we can focus on that, and there are people who can provide a legal view of this. But what I know is if you are doing money laundering and you are doing it using the dollar at some point, there is a way you can be able to submit requests, and the banks that are involved in that chain can be able to open their accounts, and companies that deposited their money, you can be able to do this investigation with collaboration of other country. Because since I think COVID, there was a law about tackling money laundering worldwide that even Switzerland agreed to. So Switzerland was the firewall of all crimes, but since then they've agreed to some level where you can be able to, under international law, they can be able to allow investigative agencies to kind of do investigations within their own banking system when the proof of a crime has been forwarded. So that's possible. That's it. Continue. Who wants to speak? I'll give that to Mohammed.
Can I
Kenzie?
speak?
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Kimuzi and your fellow host for the chance to speak. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes. Okay, for me, for the topic of the day, tuendelee ama tusiendelee. For me, I suggest that tuendelee because what happened yesterday is like an enticement to us. You remember, it was one of our irreducible minimum that we wanted. But there are others. Like we said, the IG, Inspector General of Police, we want him to resign. But until today, he has not resigned. So, Tuesday tukienda, I want us to agitate for IG. We need to agitate for various governors to be removed. Like where I come from, Kisii, there is a lot of corruption there. Governor Simbarati has not paid county officers for 3 months. So governors, we need to look at them. Another one is the Ruto must go. Of course, we need to continue with this. He should do the honorable thing, resign and leave. Before he leave, he needs to dissolve the Parliament of Kenya. The legislature of Kenya is a puppet of the executive. They cannot do things of their on their own. So I'm asking for Tukienda Tuesday, we agitate for Inspector General to be removed. Number one. Number two, we agitate for Uruto must go, of course. Number three, we agitate for another thing is the ID. Nowadays, if you want to apply for a new ID, you need to have 500, something which has been free for so long. So this is wrong. The young people of my age, I'm 22 years old. Young people of my age don't have the IDs. And for them to apply, they need to have 500. If it's replacement, they need to have 1,000 pop. I think 1,000 pop. This is wrong. How can you pay for your citizenship? This is wrong. We need to agitate for that. Thank you for the chance to speak.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
maybe Sylvia or Babs can go now because a lady hasn't spoken.
Hello. Yeah.
Babs.
Can I speak? Hello?
We can hear
Yeah, we
you.
hear
Yeah.
you.
Can you hear me? Kimuzi, thank you for this space and thank you for your determination. This is so good. This is so great. May God continue blessing you. Yes, tuendele. There's nothing like tuendele. Let's continue with the same momentum. Now, there's a question that I had, and there's a guy who was on the space yesterday. His name was Stay Hidden. Is there a possibility you can put him as a speaker? Because I had a question, because there's somewhere he talked about odious debt. Or if Web.30 can be able to answer for me that question, like odious debt. There's something he talked about, like whereby the public can refuse to pay if it was not money used. The debt was not used for like the development of the country. Something of the sort. Hello? Hello?
Yes, thank you, Sylvia. And maybe going forward, if you're willing to speak, you can raise your hand first so that you can have some order. And I think
I've added
yes,
Stay Hidden.
Babs hasn't finished. She's asking question, right?
Yes.
I've added Stay Hidden. He's I think he should be one of the speakers now.
Yes.
Mm.
Stay hidden. If it's possible, you could answer that. Because I think also people would like to know. It was quite interesting to hear that, to read that. Over to you, Stay Hidden.
Yeah, I think he's listening. You get a chance and then basically reply, answer that question. Yeah. I'm trying to make him to unmute his mic. Kimuzi.
Let me. Is Stay Hidden?
Stay Hidden is now among the
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. You can go on and answer the questions.
Yes, am I audible?
Yeah, you are. You are. I can hear you.
Kimuzi?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, Stay Hidden, we can hear you. Stay Hidden, you're audible.
Yeah, go ahead. We can hear you.
Hey guys, am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Yes. Nikaa kona shida.
Inakaa kama kona shida ya connection. Okay. We can have before he connects again, we can have Shieza.
Hi everyone.
Yes, how are you?
I'm very fine. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yeah, you are. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Wamboi Kongo, and in the spirit of tuendelee ama tusiendelee, so many points have been raised here in regards to how to set this country straight in terms of preventing embezzlement, corruption, graft, and all that. And now I have 3 points, very brief. I'd like to point out. One is one of the ways of sabotaging a state or any institution is through healthcare. And the moment you sabotage the healthcare system, then everybody will come crumbling down, because if you do not have a healthy state, you do not have systems that ensure that citizens actually are able to get medical attention promptly and effectively and efficiently, then we'll always have people who are monopolizing the business. And what do I mean? Currently, when you look at how the system is run, I think for the first time in Kenya since I came into being able to understand things, we've never had an incident where we do not have vaccines in government hospitals. Basic neonatal vaccines, yeah. And I am in the healthcare industry. One of the ways of sabotaging that is, like I said, monopolizing. And how do we ensure that we limit these politicians and these public people from monopolizing the system? When you see we have vaccines that are missing and vaccines that are not available when children or mothers go to get their basic BCG, it means that they are available. Let me start there. We have the vaccines in the country. But what happens is, if someone is hoarding them, in a way that the government, Kenyatta National Hospital, Mama Lucy, and all these hospitals are not able to attain, there is someone who is waiting for the crisis to be able to look like a hero to avert this. And one of the ways that we're looking at, we can't lose this fight, is ensuring that we have this conflict of interest bill that is going through, whereby state officials, they're actually able to conduct businesses in the government while they are in the government. Case in point, what happened let me say during COVID, yeah. If you're a scientist here like me, you would know that getting a vaccine is a tall order. It takes years and years, and especially a viral vaccine. So the same way that no one would explain how less than 9 months after COVID broke out, we had vaccines from all other healthcare manufacturing companies, it's the same way what is happening now. And if this persists, there will come a point when someone will, how do I put it, be a hero by supplying vaccines in these institutions so that we can, quote unquote, worship them. And that is what has been running the citizens over and over and over. So we need to have a way to limit the sabotaging and the monopolizing of healthcare institutions. Another incident or another way that we do this is, each one of us has had an opportunity to go to a hospital, private or public. In this case, let me talk about private. When you look at KEMSA, the mandate of KEMSA is to ensure that we do not have any lack of medicine or equipment or services at public hospitals. But today, if you went to a hospital like Gatundu, level 5 hospital, you will find basic things like ECG cannot be done there. This is for people who are hypertensive and need scans for the heart and all that. You'll find something like lab work. It's not available. But what happens when these services are not available? There will always be somewhere you are referred to. True or not true? I know you can confirm this. You will always have a place you're referred to go and get the services there. Then urudi nazo, and then you are reviewed by a doctor. Why? Because people have monopolized the system in a way that if I know that I can benefit outside the hospital setting, then I can set up my own system using public money and through the procurement to be able to divert all the attention to my institution or our institution, say as Mithika. What am I trying to say? That as we try to fight up there, which is now those guys we can see and we can clearly tell they are corrupt. We need to also start from grassroots level, because the same way we say traffic police are corrupt on kuitisha 50-50 hapa, when we look at tukisema tumalize traffic police, they will only bring more to do the same. That's what I'm trying to say. So we need a system whereby that these people who are handling the systems in our country are not only held accountable on what they do, we also quote unquote privatize it. You know, right now, if you're in a private institution, there's what we call performance by employment by contract, which is performance based. But what we have done is that we have continuously rewarded mediocrity with our public sector, whereby with or without performance, with or without graft, with or without lack of integrity, you are still able to hold position. Point number 2, even as we push for these agendas, remember, when these people go into office or when they are elected, they go into these parliament and assemblies, when they're selling their manifesto, they sugarcoat it, you know, and it looks so good to the eye. But the moment they get there, they want to change what will favor them. So how do we prevent elected leaders or nominated or both that when they get into power, they're actually limited to change the systems to favor them? For instance, when we talk about salary adjustment for all government officials, MPs 200,000, if it's the CSS 400,000, if it's the president 700,000, when they get into power, what do we have in place that they will again not foot a bill that will now reward what it is that we are fighting to prevent against? And that is something that we really need to think about, because 1 or 2 people might not have the selfish interest, but the majority can. Then the third thing is, even as we cap them into these institutions and systems, we also need to reduce their power of finances. Remember, you cannot rob a naked man, you know. And what we have done is, because the systems and those who are in charge of the systems continuously rob us, even as we see it, we have to be able to reduce it at the grassroots level. For example, a few years back during Uhuru's era, there was an uproar in terms of allowances for people who are in committees. And what they did, the SRC, what they did, they didn't scrap up the allowances, they reduced the allowances for different cadres. If it's the MCAs, if it's the nominated, if it's the MPs, if it's the senators, for every committee. But remember, if an MP is earning 500,000, that is what they have signed for as their basic salary. But when every time they sit for a committee meeting, they get an allowance. 10 points, say MCAs, they get 15,000 or 9,000 shillings, I think, for a maximum of 240 shillings a month. So how is it that they are able to legally steal from us? When I am an MCA or I'm a nominated MCA and I need to get money, I will find a way to be in 4 or 5 committees at the same time. Now do the math. If at the end of the month I have sat in 5 committees and each and every sitting I have to quote a maximum of 240,000 that I need from committees. That's 240 times 5, you get? And that is how the likes of Salasia, they have a pay slip of 1 million, they take home 2,000, but they have more than enough finances to sustain themselves. So we need to reduce how they are able to get this money. That is the first point. When you do not have a way to steal from the government or from the people, then you're set in place. And that is why private organizations work so effectively. You know, each one of us is there to earn, whether private or public, but none should be able to earn more than they deserve, right? So that is one point that we need to really, really address, whether it's through the law. I'm not sure, but collectively we are able to do that. Then the last point is a statement that keeps on coming up with politicians. I know it's for PR, but it's a statement, state capture. And state capture basically encompasses everything that we are actually talking about. When we have leaders that are elected to serve the people, we don't get those. We need a system where if a child akohuko Baringo, they are getting the exact quality education you are getting here. How do we start with that? When we punguza this state capture, we are able to get enough finances to pay these teachers. The excuse has always been that you cannot pay teachers the same way you pay politicians, because politicians are less, teachers are more, Doctors are more, nurses are more, clinicians are more. So you cannot pay a clinician 100,000 shillings because then you have, 100,000 clinicians. That for me is, for lack of a better word, bullshit. Because these clinicians at public hospitals or these P1 teachers at public hospitals, they're the same people who are expected to drive the economy by giving quality education. And truth be told, we are human beings. Value requires compensation. You will not do value without proper compensation, no matter how much integrity you have as an individual. A doctor's case in point, they spent how much? 10 years basically to get a degree. So you cannot tell that doctor that you took an oath to do no harm, but at the same time, they cannot even sustain their kids in school. So those are the kind of things that I would really want, even as we push for change from this government, to look at. We can only enact change when it starts from the bottom. What Ruto has done and what the government is doing, this is a big tree that is deep rooted. So kitu amefanya, ameprune huko juu. He just pruned, the bad branches and what we call unfruitful branches. But what he has not done is uprooted the whole tree, and that's what we are looking at. We need to uproot this bad tree so we can plant a new tree. And I think those are my points. Thank you very much, and I wish each one of us the best. Thank you.
Paul D. Stay hidden. I'm a Paul D. Who wants to go first?
I'm Paul. I'm
Kimuzi,
here.
am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. You're audible. Let's have Paul go then stay hidden because I know you have quite a few points. Then you go. Is that okay? Paul, the mic is yours.
Okay, am I audible?
Yeah, you are. You are.
So thank you, Asante Sana Kimuzi, and the co-host for this opportunity. First of all, nataka kupea flowers everyone mwenye alijitolea went to the street without any convincing na mtu yoyote ama any politician. I remember I woke up one morning and I saw on my TV the determination and dedication of those young people. Nikasema mimi nitatoka Thika, place I was, nikajilipia fare, and I went straight to the streets. So I want to give flowers to everyone. Jana na the finance bill dropping, the CSS being fired, it is a clear way ya kuonyesha ati we are doing something. To the topic of today, tuendelee ama tusiendelee? Tuendelee kufinya hawa watu. Tuendelee kuwafinya. The repercussions zenye zitakuja, it's a clear way ya kuonyesha ati the movement is strong na hakuna leader mwenye atakuja kutuconvince otherwise. So Kimuzi, let us continue. Tuendelee na my point today zitakuwa specifically wacha nizi direct kwa counties. The counties are being allocated more than 400 billion. So to sit down, play the role ya counties zenye zinafaa, the role of the counties zenye wanafaa kufanyia wananchi. That is almost, it is easier ku downplay the 400 billion yenye wanafaa kutumia. And case in point, the revenue allocations, the revenue collections zenye the counties wanachukua. Nilikuwa naangalia kama Kiambu County. I'm from Kiambu County. In these years, 24-25, the revenue collection yenye ilikuwa targeted was around 3 billion, and it is to go up to 7 billion 25-26. That's a lot of money. We are trusting these governors who are control, and they don't have anything to show up for. Hakuna kitu yenye wanaonyesha. Youths bado wanalia, health sector bado wanalia. I used to work in one of the hospitals. I was a county employer under contract. And kuna place tulikuwa tunaenda even 6 months bila pay, where else unaona health imeallocatiwa more than 7 billion. Casual mwenye yako kwa contract analia, the supplier wenye wanafanya pharmaceuticals and non-farms bado wanalia, where else the county ukiangalia kwa the revenue allocations health imepewa 7 billion. Now the question is, kwani hii pesa inaenda wapi? Jana tuliona Wamatangi akiwa grilled, alikuwa revealed like a terrorist, nilikuwa naona by those white people. The kind of that is going on in the counties, it is easy to downplay it, lakini these people are being given a lot of money. The exchequer is giving them money, more than 400 billion. The county itself is collecting more than 3 billion in their revenue collections. That's a lot of money. What were trusted to control. What's happening in the counties? Example ya Kiambu. Wacha ni concentrate na Kiambu. The chief of health, and I'm going to concentrate, wacha tu ni divert my energy to the department yenye nishaikuwa ya health. I used to supervise NHIF at one of the local hospitals, the Thika Level 5 hospital. And the chief of health, the contract yake iliisha 2023. Three-year contract iliisha 2023. The governor has not even appointed a new chief of health, chief officer of health. What is happening? The contract inakuwa renewed a month, 2 months, because the governor anataka kukeep watu wenye the same thing is happening to Ruto. Ruto anataka kukeep watu wenye hawezi mquestion, the people that are easier to control. And when I say easier to control, munajua obvious ni mfuko. Ni mfuko. Ni kitu yenye anawajenga. Those are people who are betraying us. The county, the chief of health, the contract iliisha 3 years iliisha on December. Now tuko July, almost the year is ending. Hakuna renewal imefanywa, anashinda tu akimpea some sort of contract, ni kama tu a casual employee anapewa contract ya 3 months, 1 month, and they are messing the health sector. I have had somebody here say that health ndio uti niseme uti ya mgongo first before even we go to agriculture. Juu watu wamegonjeka hawezi kuenda kufanya agriculture. Health should be the first, it should be a priority in every growth of a country, but health is being messed up. Health ina correct a lot of revenue. Where the money is directed ni places zenye zina benefit some few. Okay, the first thing governor alifanya after kuingia kwa leadership, alikuja akaterminate contracted workers with no basis ya either kuwa na gross misconduct ama kupatwa na any corruption case. Alikuja akaterminate. I've had brothers and sisters who have worked under contract for more than 10 years, and the constitution is clear that if a county employee or a national employee works for more than 3 years under contracted terms, they are eligible and they are supposed to be absorbed by the county, respective county, ama the national government. Under the PNP, they are supposed to be permanent and pensionable. That is not happening at all. The counties are messing us up. The counties wakiingia wanakuja na watu wenye waliwafanyia campaign. They are not even qualified in those positions. A case in point, the previous government of the previous governor mwenye alikuwa impeached wa Kiambu. We used to have people come to offices when a demand they have been sent from the county. They were coming and demanding that they be provided the services, even pesa. So imagine this scenario: you are a qualified person sitting in an accounts office, and some goon comes in the office anakwambia nimetumwa from the governor, nimetumwa kutoka cheo ya huko juu, and there is nothing you can do about it. Even they can physically assault you. There's so much power that is being given to these governors. Now utilize vizuri.
Paul.
Yes.
Let me just interject a little bit, like, sorry for the interruption. And I just wanted to tell you guys, I'm putting a countdown 30 minutes for the space. I told you 1 hour. And nimeambiwa ni choose space ama mtu. So I have to choose one. 30 minutes nimewekea countdown. Kindly.
Okay, I'll be quick. Kimwezi, I'll be quick. So nilikuwa hapo kwa comparisons the NHIF venye inafanya kazi, venye walikuja wakatoa, they have this the easy vitu wana introduce our Matagi cares, the Kangata cares, all those. I think ni PL, but some of them are helping people. Na wanataka kuleta shift. Those are just PL venye governors wanazifanya to are considered for 2027. This also should be looked into. Casual workers, nilisikia nani Kirinyaga governor akisema that not casuals but her employee ati watakosa kupewa salaries after the finance bill was dropped. We elected you there to be smart. Look for other revenue collections. Ni kama uandikwe kwa private, uambiwe ati juu sasa hatuja make profit, you are not supposed to be paid. You are the management. You are supposed to be smart. You are trusted by the people to be smart enough to provide solutions. Kukikuja na downplays like those. Sasa mimi unaniambia utanilipa. What am I supposed to do? And I'm showing every day from 9 to 5. Those are kind of things that we are supposed to look into. Na tukimalizana na vitu za the country, the IABC, the recording of MPs, let us occupy those county governments. These people have been entrusted. So many services have been devolved. Then Akwanga against that health was actually devolved. There are so many things.
Kindly wind up, because I want these people to go to Faith or the Ambo's space too. You know, it's she's hosting and I'm hosting, and it's not okay, you know.
Okay, thank you Kimuzi. So tuendelee na the same motive, tuendelee kungangana, and I know tuta make it for the sake of the future generations. Asante sana Kimuzi.
Thank you. Boniface and Webb, kindly organize yourself, mpe watu to the last 30 minutes. Kindly, juu saizi na hata watu waende hiyo space ya Faith. Kindly.
So I think the next person will stay hidden. To go to
okay, sir.
Architect Abuya. That order.
Am I audible?
You are.
Yes, you are.
Okay, kuna swali ilikuwa imeulizwa about odious debt. Naweza elezea since ni kiasi odious debt inafaa ikuwe ni ile debt government officials wamechukua, but it has been borrowed without people's consent, na pia imetumiwa for personal gain ama repressing the population, na pia creditors were aware or should have been aware of the circumstances. Haingetumika kusaidia nchi. Na story ya odious debt sahi, the biggest thing yenye naweza fanya to succeed ikwe viable for Kenya ni burden of proof. The successor government typically carries the burden of proving the debt's odious nature, making the successful legal challenges complex. Lakini vitu kama World Bank wanatambua, vitu kama World Bank na International Monetary Fund wana acknowledge kuna vitu kama odious debt, na si concept ya kwanza imefanyika hapa hivi, ni concept imekuwa ikifanyika. In Nicaragua 1967 to 1979 walikataa kulipa $1.6 billion. Waliclaim odious debt na hiyo ikapita hivyo. Hawakulipa. Philippines 1965 to 1986 walikuwa wameamass almost 10 billion. The president mwenye alikuwa amechukua $10 billion. Government ikakataa. Hiyo incoming government ikakataa. Haiti pia. These cases, South Africa in 1994, although ya South Africa walikataa kulipa juu waliona, juu kuna kuwaga na challenges. Wengine unaweza kuwa mnakataa kulipa lakini na affect kuchukua other loans. But one big scandal ni Malaysia, one MDB scandal ya 2009. Walifanya hiyo odious debt jamaa alikuwa amelipa kama hizi za China. Ulikuwa unasikia deni za China Kenya, politicians wanalipwa kitu juu ya hiyo deni ndio wachukue, wanahongwa ndio wachukue hiyo deni. The same thing ili happen in Malaysia, na deni zetu mingi za China zina follow this procedure. Politicians wanalipwa kitu. Malaysia, hiyo Goldman Sachs ili end up kulipa Malaysia, ilikuwa imelipa 1.6 billion in bribes dollars, but ili end up kulipa 2.9 billions kwa authorities na 2.5 billions kwa Malaysian government na another 1.4 billion kugarantii Malaysian i-recover hiyo pesa na ifuate ya watu waliiba. So sisi tukifuata kuna uwezekano kuclaim odious debt is the only way. Juu tukisema to default on our debt ni ngumu, kutakuwa na currency crisis. Tukisema to default kutakuwa na currency crisis. Shortages of essentials, especially vitu zenye ni exported. Na since Kenya vitu zenye ni imported, na since Kenya vitu mingi zetu ni imported, kutakuwa na high inflation juu vitu mingi zitapanda bei excessively, juu kuzipata itakuwa ni more expensively. Na hiyo ni kitu isha happen in Sri Lanka, na hadi ililazimisha president na prime minister ku resign for the same cause. But sisi tukiamua to claim odious debt ni very very possible. And another thing naweza sema leo, Kimuzi, hii space yako iko na answers to everything. Kama iko I guess iko na answers to everything. About story ya kukab corruption na kukab everything. Blockchain voting inaweza kuwa solution in this sense. For example, kama tunataka kupitisha cabinet secretaries, tusiachie president, watuachie kukuwe na blockchain technology yenye individual people watavote through that blockchain technology ku-approve kama tuna approve huyu CS ama tu approve huyu CS. Hiyo tuta make sure sisi wenyewe kama citizen tuko sure mwenye ako pale ni mtu tunataka. Na hii blockchain technology si ati ni kitu happen in West Virginia, USA during the 2018 midterm elections. West Virginia walitumia a blockchain technology voting app na ikawaka. Na hiyo voting app ilikuwa wanatumia, kwanza inakuwa na cyber security software. Hiyo cyber security software ina detect kama kuna malware on your smartphone, either ni Android ama iPhone. Hiyo malware, so that isikuwa ni malware imevote, iwe ni wewe. Ikisha detect hakuna malware, wanatumia biometrics za finger biometrics kwa authenticate identification. Haya, ukishamaliza finger biometrics unatumia password uingie. Ukishatumia password ndio una vote, una cast your ballot na inahesabu immediately, hakuna kungoja. So tunaweza tumia hiyo. Another thing ilikuwa na before ufanye all that, lazima before hiyo authentication yote, kwanza lazima utume tu video ya wewe ukismile ama ukicheka ama just to approve you are alive kwanza before that. So hiyo blockchain technology inaweza tusaidia in very many forms. Kwanza kuna thread about blockchain technology unaweza iangalia, na kuna thread nimepost hapo about odious debt pia unaweza angalia. So on blockchain technology, kwanza tunaweza approve CS. Pili, government imeiba sana. Ukiangalia through threads zangu about budgeted corruption na public debt scrutiny, utapata government inaiba sana. So blockchain technology tunaweza approve. Kama government nataka kuendea deni, tu approve kwanza hii deni iendewe ama isiendewe. So watu wana vote. Juu tukisema tuachilie politicians, watahongwa na deni iendewe. So blockchain technology hatutaachia politicians, hiyo responsibility itakuwa yetu. Another thing, kwa nini kuna pending bills? Ni kwa sababu wa jamaa wanajilipa, wanachukua tenda. Kwa hivyo blockchain technology pia itatoa conflict of interest in that kwa procurement, wananchi wa hiyo county wana prove hii tenda ipatiwe mtu fulani kwa sababu ni competent, kwa sababu ni cheaper. Kwa sababu kama matenda mingi ukiangalia kwa budgeted corruption threads zangu, tenda mingi zinapatiwa wasee just na wana offer more expensive, kama za ndege KQ imeenda losses simply because imeuzwa ndege more expensively. Mwenye amepewa tenda kuliz ndege ni more expensively. Kwanza hiyo hiyo bill ya kupitisha kulease haitakikani, ni expensive on itself. But you see, blockchain technology ita make sure public debt ikienda kuchukuliwa, sisi tuna approve through voting ya blockchain technology. Pili, where should they spend it? Should they spend it on investments zenye hatuhitaji ama tunahitaji? Tuna vote where to spend. Blockchain technology itakuwa kama pilot study before hii blockchain technology pia itumike kama roll out kama election ya technology itatumika kwa election kabisa. So blockchain technology inaweza tusaidia. Kuna hii thread about blockchain technology, ukitafuta kwa my wall utaipata. Alafu about odious debt kabisa pia utaipata. It will explain more and it will give you case studies of other presidents, other countries zenye zimeclaim odious debt na ikapitia, but most effectively pitia hiyo ya Malaysia, ikapitia hiyo ya Mozambique. About kuclaim kwenda kuwaclaimia, kwenda kuchukua assets ama funds zenye itakuwa ngumu for one reason. Ni possible but inahitaji political will, na utapata since Ruto ama watu wote watakuwa kwa government at that stance, wanakuanga wameshaiba na wao previously. Kwa hivyo political will ya Kenya ni low, but hata tukasema iko high, kunahitajika political will ya hizo countries zingine kusaidia kusaidia. But hata ukiangalia World Bank inakuaga na Stolen Asset Recovery Initiative, inajita STAR, na pia United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime pia hiyo inatafuta asset recovery. But funny enough, the World Bank hiyo ya STAR, hiyo ya World Bank haija publish any single success rate for stolen asset recovery. However, imepublish success rate ya cases zingine. For example, Nigeria in 2014 waliingiza CS of Finance kwa kitu kama hii, akasemaje tunaendea hizo vitu, hapana tambua tutaendea hizo stolen recovery. However, wali confiscate only 321 million linked to their Abacha family wenye walikuwa wameiba through their ninio. So utapata at most percentage ni 20 to 35% at hizi recovery utapata, but hiyo isikuwe stop. Sisi tunafaa kuwa hold accountable in that watafungwa, na hata wakifungwa tuweke this blockchain technology in the constitution, in that it prevent further stealing of public funds. Kama ni procurement, blockchain technology na approve ni nani ana deserve kupewa this tender, na watu wana vote. So kwa sababu gani hata tukasema Ruto elect other CS ama other watu hata wakiiba, unapata EACC hata ikipeleka court, ikipeleka kesi huko mbele, judicial imelipwa, sijui nani wamelipwa, EACC iko in bed, DPP ako in bed. So but tukiwa na hiyo blockchain technology tutakuwa tumeregesha power kwa wananchi, kwa sababu sisi wenyewe tuta approve on everything, public debt wakiendea, how they spend na transparency. Actually hiyo blockchain technology kuna a way that wase withdraw do leo kama ni $20 ama ni 20 million, hiyo technology ati tutaona do fulani leo saa fulani imetoka, wenye wako na access wanajua do fulani na fulani imetoka. So we really need to embrace blockchain technology immediately. Anyway, that's my say.
Yeah, man. I want to give shout outs to Amini Protocols na Vincent, naona wako hapa hivi, na naona sisi peke yetu, by the way, stay hidden, tuko na hizi ideas, ni vile hatukuwa tunaziongea. I think, there is more expertise here, and I want to give everyone who has risen their hand a bit of time, just a little bit. We are about to wind down. Amini Protocols, then Vincent, then Architect.
Thanks a lot, Web3 na Kimuzi, for creating this amazing space. I think what we have to look at is where actually corruption begins. If you look at our country, na ukiangalia hata wa CS wote na magavana, where it all started is, of course, mtu alimaliza primo, akanunua certificate, akasimama na hiyo certificate, akanunua job, na venye aliget hiyo job, what else do you expect? Sasa wameshinda tu wakiiba do zetu. So, I'm quite happy to share with you guys, and I like what you've done with Web3. They are Kenyans, and I think somebody said, Leo Asubuhi, Kenyans are very smart. And so just to say, when you look at Web3, there's a group of Kenyans, and when I say Kenyans, it's actually Gen Zs from Kabarak University, JKUAT University, the Technical University of Kenya. So these guys have come together, and what they've decided to do is to start at the grassroots, where they want to make sure that going forward in Kenya, Mazee Utawai and the River Road could forge tena certificates. So they've created a brilliant credential management system. And what it does basically is Mazee certificate ikikuwa issued na any institution, it's published on a blockchain. That blockchain is available through a decentralized ledger. And then most importantly, what they're also doing now is they are partnering with employers who actually support accountability, transparency within the job market. I think you guys have seen what has been happening in our country for the last few years. Unakumbuka poa sana, kulikuanza kuwa na issues of certificates. Gava ikasema almost 2,000 people within the government have fake certificates. What does that mean to all of us? Kuna wase wengi sana wako qualified, they keep on missing jobs because majamaa wanaendelea kufanya easy fraud within the certificate sector. The other day tunakumbuka very well Nigeria walikama wakasema watablock mastude wote wa Kenya because there's a lot of fraud in our institutions. And I mean, this is something that as we continue to discuss and communicate, we need to face and of course to eliminate. So mine big ups to the teams here who are building fantastic solutions to be able to save our country. This team of young Gen Zs, mnaweza wa check out na mwapatie kudos. They've gone an extra mile, wanna spend those out, wanna spend nights zao, wanna burn their brains. And what they've done is, for the first time in Kenya, easy story. This is something that is also actually working. They've partnered with wale wasa wanajua blockchain power. They've partnered with Polygon networks. They've already published a smart contract, and the smart contract si certificate peke yake, hapo ndio start. And why that is very important is because when you look at Web3, watu wengi waelewi Web3 ni nini, but that's the future. If you look at developed markets, wase wengi washaanza kuembrace. So what they want to do is use that opportunity to show that you can actually have an immutable, secure, transparent solution kwa watu wote ambao wako uni, so that what you basically do is mazee unapatia kila mtu equal opportunity ukiingia workplace. But it doesn't stop there. Kuna vitu watu wamediscuss about land. When you look at the title deeds, these are the documents. There's a digitized tuzidunge kwa Web3. Mkifanya transaction, you don't need somebody to actually do it because you have a trustless system that can actually support. So we are equally excited to support this resolution as a mini block. When you look at that name in Amanisha, Amanisha Trust. So big ups to the entire team here supporting the good movement Web3. We look forward to also working with you and supporting this amazing movement as we all transform our country. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Vincent.
Hi guys, thank you so much for letting me on board. Awesome. Look, it really warms my heart that all these Web3 guys are getting together and starting to do things. It really is the way. It's definitely the only way that things will change, not just in Kenya, but all over the world. We need to decentralize government and reduce their power. I just want to tell everybody and really asking for your support. We are sponsoring basically for no expectation of money in return or anything like that. We're sponsoring a voting mechanism that will be released on the Google App Store on the 17th, so roughly in 5 days. We've been holding spaces, discussing this. We're building a DAO, which is comprised of anyone that wants to join it. So they have a say in what's being built. So basically, we're sponsoring the initial code base. It's completely open source. It's gasless, so you don't have to get charged anything to vote. So it's using snapshot technology, which I'm sure a lot of the Web3 guys here will be very familiar with. Amini Pro, can you please get in touch with me? I think that we need to maybe have a discussion on where the university guys can utilize that and become part of the DAO, and we can all work together to start implementing these systems.
Is he breaking? You can hear him clearly.
I can hear you, Vincent.
Yeah? Oh, great.
I can hear you, yeah.
Oh, great.
Guys, 10 minutes.
Okay, 10 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, so The website, if you have a look at my icon, you'll be able to find the website. The website is m-kura.vote. We decided to do that because there's a lot of spaces being held. Kamuzi, I know you've been holding every day. I've tried to get on your calls, and there's many others who are holding every day. We're holding a space every 2 days to discuss this. So why we decided to go with voting is that we need a voice. We can all get on spaces and talk and talk and talk, and there's virtually millions of people that have been talking, but we need an application where we can actually register a vote, and we need it to be open source, transparent, and immutable. And we're building that, so it'll be released in 5 days. It's not going to be the perfect solution, but it is a very good solution, and it is the start. We have 2 years before general elections. I'm not saying it's ready for general elections, but it is ready to vote on any specific issue, and we can, if we all join the DAO, and I'm hoping that millions do, then we are able to have a very powerful voice, and these legislators can actually see what we're voting on in real time. So if I'm hoping that the application is downloaded by all. Look, we've proposed a 50 shilling price for it. It's not for money for us. As I said, we've donated the code base for free. It's basically to maintain the DAO and to develop this further and pay people who contribute. Now, if it comes to the point where people are willing to offer their time free, then no charge for the system. I don't bloody care. I mean, what this is about is it's about change and bringing distributed systems to one of the few countries on earth that has the demographic in terms of the young population that gets this to really make change. It is never going to happen it will happen in the West eventually, but it will take years. The population is far too old. They're far too brainwashed. It's too difficult to happen there. But Kenya can be the shining light on earth for this type of technology. They should be number one in terms of adopting this, because you have the population, or we have the population. Look, my wife's Kenyan. I'm having a daughter who's, I want to grow up in Kenya. I'm very pro-Kenya. All my projects are African-based. I'm even discussing things with people who own African satellites at the moment to what's coming in Africa, and then they're African-owned companies. What's coming in Africa is going to be amazing. People have no idea. Maintain the faith, maintain what you guys are doing, but please, there needs to be an outcome. The people have died. People have really given up so much for this cause, but we need an outcome. And I believe that the first step, that once we started the cause, the first step was we need to have a voice, and that voice is a voting system that can't be corrupted and it can't be questioned, because it will be totally secure from every degree, and they can't basically deny it. We don't trust their IEBC and their commissioners who are going to be hired. It's human infallibility. It's old tech. We don't need those systems anymore. So really asking Kamuzi that maybe we can hold a space together, or you can join our space. This needs to be heard. It's owned by the people, for the people. We don't get anything out of it. It's sponsored, and I want devs in Kenya to join the code base and to be building on top of it. So let's get together and join the DAO. Join the conversations that we have every 2 days. We already have blockchain lawyers in Kenya on board. I'm getting the blockchain projects that I'm familiar with in Kenya on board. We know each other via LinkedIn. I'm a real person. I've been in the industry for a very long time. I've built systems for tier 1 banks. all around the world. This is not a joke. This is not a scam. This is not, nothing about that. It's about affecting real change. So I'm asking everyone, please join us. I know a lot of people here I can see have already been on our calls, and I'll relinquish the mic because I know I've spoken for a fair bit, but thank you once again. And please.
Vincent,
yeah.
You'll just tell me prior, you'll DM me and we shall talk about it.
Thank you. I'll DM you. Thank you, Kamuzi.
All right. Maybe we can have architects and
Imeisha actually. It's like 2 minutes.
Hawa jamaa wamekuwa kingoja sana, nilikuwa nataka wapea. Mimi ni teach tu waseme tukienda. Architects.
Yes. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. First of all, let's not forget those who lost their lives for this cause. Secondly, in line with the whole ideology of blockchain systems, this is more or less what has agitated for the change that we are still seeking for. Because as you all know, nothing much has been done yet. Nothing much. There's nothing solid that has been done. I mean, if it's for the dissolution of the CSS going home, that is still a minor step because they can replace still with other morons and we still go back to where we've been. If it's the matter of allocation or appropriation of budgets to the offices that were allocated, like the First Lady and so forth, that can still be undone. So we need more permanent changes going forward, and we still need to push until we get these solid systemic changes. The whole ideology behind whatever is happening is going to be advanced by the blockchain systems with regards to being able to get information on what is happening where. Right now, if you're not like on Twitter, every minute you scroll through your TL, you'll see someone has posted, this is happening here, someone is not delivering, this is where money was stolen. So we need that to continue, even if it's going to be outside the government systems, because systems are only as good as people. And the Kenyan society, as we know it, really, I could say it's rotten because citizens are the ones who, offer the bribes, and that goes all the way to the top. So we need that ideological change from the level of citizens, so that even if we want to keep the governments accountable, it's very easy because we don't have a challenge of ethics on our side. A good example, we could say we want to change systems and bring in all these new technologies, but as an architect, I mean, we've been having different counties introducing different systems for approval of, say, drawings, architectural drawings and stuff for people to build houses. What happens is you find the people who have been appointed in those offices to retrieve drawings on the other end and review, they end up, unaenda unaambiwa the system is down this time, or at times when the governor comes in, a new governor comes in, you're told, anasema the system was corrupt, so they do away with it, like for the case of...
Kindly wind up.
As much as we want to push for the reforms in winding up, we need to be hands-on in, so to say, whistleblowing. And if you go to seek a service, a government service that is free, and it's not offered for free, we need to be loud about it, and we need to project that frustration so that we clean up the mess from the grassroots all the way to the top. I think that is something that we may need to pick up more on as well going forward. Thank you.
So guys, what can I say? Time is up. If somebody hasn't talked, we'll have another space and we'll have another dialogue. These our ideas never finish, we will relinquish new ideas. Thank you so much, Web 3.0. We will talk more.
Thank you.
Thank you. Where is the other guy? Yes, drop the mic. Stay then. Thank you, Boniface. Thank you, Vincent. Thank you, Architect. Thank you, everyone. We shall meet again. And kindly let's go to Faith Odhiambo's space and let's listen to her.
Oh, thank you.